Neat games! Are you struggling to find the perfect hook for your game? Game jams may be the answer you're looking for. That's how I found my hook for my Metroidvania game, YesterSol. Hi, I'm Nick, a full-time English teacher and a hobbyist game developer. In YesterSol, its main hook is that the player can throw and recall a magical spear. Also, when stuck in a wall, it can be used as a platform. So yeah, one of the best ways to find a hook for your game is by participating in game jams. These are timed game-making contests where you can experiment with different mechanics and ideas to see what resonates with players. Many popular games started out as game jam projects. By participating in game jams, you can get immediate feedback on your hook from a large audience. You don't have to focus on the final ranking, but instead, pay attention to the comments and the feedback you receive. If people seem to love a certain mechanic or style, you know you have a good potential hook. This is what happened to me a few years ago with YesterSol. I participated in a popular game jam, and the theme was Only One, and I created a game called Only One Arrow. In this game, I had a cute little fuzzball character moving and jumping, and I made it shoot only one magical arrow that could be shot out and recalled like a boomerang. Then, just by chance, while testing that the arrow was shooting correctly, it stuck in the wall. I walked over with my character and jumped on it. The arrow's collider wasn't a trigger yet, so the player could land on it. And then I thought to myself, hey, it can be a platform too. And I built all the levels around that fun mechanic. The feedback I received was positive, but at the time I didn't know I had a good hook, and I was super new to game development. It took me a while to realize its potential, but it never left my mind. I even tried it in a failed Metroidvania project called Jackalope. I had some setbacks with that game, and it was actually really hard to do. And finally, I lost the game file to corruption. And I realized I needed more practice to tackle making a Metroidvania. So, I worked on another project. A super simple, level-based platformer called Super Neat Cat. That was the first large game I ever made, and I completed it and I even uploaded it on Steam. After that, I played around with 3D game development just to see how it was. Eventually, I returned to 2D and I remembered the fun spear mechanic. And now I feel like I have the skills to make a full and satisfying Metroidvania game. And only after 4 months, I've made some great progress. And that's why game jams are a great way to discover a hook for your game. The biggest plus being that you'll receive feedback from many players. Whereas if you make a prototype outside a game jam, it is extremely hard to get as many playtesters and proper feedback to know if the hook is actually great. I encourage everyone to participate in game jams and pay attention to the feedback that you receive. You never know, you may find the perfect hook for your next big game. And now for the neat updates I've done in YesterSol. First, 2D lights and shadows. I think this adds a ton of atmosphere to the game and makes the simple visuals even more appealing. Please check them out in the newest version of the Steam trailer. How was the trailer? Let me know if you have any feedback in the comments. Now, I'll break down the rest of the updates you might have spotted in the trailer. Corrin death, run, and idle animations improved. Bird, because I want the world to feel alive. What other critters should I add? Better enemy hit feedback, a white flash, and a slash effect. This makes it very clear when you successfully hit an enemy. Also, it makes it feel real good to whack the enemies. I always wanted to do this, but for my animation style, all the characters and enemies are made up of a ton of sprites. Therefore, it took me a while to figure out a method to make them all turn white at once. Basically, I have a code that takes all the sprites into a list and then switches the normal sprite material to the UI text material, which is pure white, and then switches it back to normal. Flash. Also, 2 new enemies. A beetle with a hard shell on its head that blocks the spear. So now you can only attack this enemy from behind. A lobbing projectile mosquito that gives the player more projectiles to avoid. And you use the melee attack to reach him above you. Better player hit feedback. Now, time slows when the player is hit, and there is a slight knockback, and it feels really more impactful when you are hit now. This caused a ton of issues, so I had to keep it very simple, but I think now it's working just fine. 2 new zones started. The Eastern Desert, and below it, the Crystal Mines. In these areas, the hot steam from the city core is released through giant pipes. So there are these air shafts that lift the player up into the air. Also, down in the mines, there are glow crystals, and they react to the player with a little ding, and they glow. There's a new hazard in the underground lake area, falling stalactites. These will probably show up in the mines as well. And I think that's all the interesting things to mention for this video. Thanks again to everyone who gave feedback and comments in my previous videos. See you in the next devlog, and please don't forget to wishlist. YesterSol. Neat game.